All right, so this is from the 2022 exam 2. The first thing we need to determine from this is the question's talking about a stormwater flow. And you can see the flow here, there's some reverses and there's some going forward. Question A says, when considering the possible flow of the stormwater, different cuts can be made. Determine the capacity of cut 1. So cut 1, we're going to look at how things go from source to the sink. So if you see L to R, that's included in the cut, so 15. When we see M to L, it goes from sink back to source, so it's on the other side, which means that we don't include it. We look at N to M, we also see that goes from sink to source, source to sink. So we add 15, N to P, 14, plus O to P, which is 11. Okay, and then plus the last one, which is 19. And when we add all this up, we get 74 as a flow. Now, the next one says, what is the maximum flow of the stormwater in this particular example? Now, there's multiple ways you could do this. One way I like to do this is by, I guess, looking at possible pathways. And when you look at possible pathways, having a look at what the maximum flow is, looking at a particular path. So if we go from source to 20 to 18 to 15, we can see that the maximum flow along this particular pathway is going to be 15. Okay, because if you go through here, it'll be like the choke point can't be more than 15. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to subtract 15 from each of these. So that means this path will be 0, this path will be 3, and this path will be 5. All right. You can't just stop at that point, though. You have to have a look at the other pathways. And if we look at the bottom pathway, we've got 35, 20, and 19. So the choke point at this point would be 19. And if we subtract 19 from all these, we get 0 here, we get 1 here, and we get 16 here. There are some other pathways as well. So if we go through K, N, and then M, and then Q, and then back to R, you can see the absolute max in this path is 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 10 from each of these, and this becomes 0. This becomes 6. This becomes 5. 9. And this one becomes 6 in itself as well. And if we look at the other pathways, we can see we go down from here. We could even subtract 1 from this point as well. So now if we investigate all the other flows here, we've got all these choke points at 0, 0, and 0. So we know that in terms of the maximum flow, it's either going to be 15, 19, or 10 in this case, because you can see if we go through here, we get 6, 9, 5, and then 0. We get 5, 3, 0. We get 6, 1, 0. We get 6, 1, and then after that, we get the wrong flow going on these particular sides. So if we add these together, 15 plus 19 plus 10, we get 44. All right, now the next one says the direction of the flow is reversed through one pipe. Complete the following sentence. The pipe that should have is reversed flow. So really, there's only a couple of pipes that we're going to be looking at. The first one is, PQ. Another one could be ML, and the other one could be KL. In this case, if we look at ML, if we reverse this particular flow, so if we investigate this now and we look at this particular pathway, L to M, if we reverse L to M, water still won't be able to flow through this way, because if we say if we say 5, 3, and we get from L to M, if we reverse this, we still hit a 0 flow, so water still can't get through. So the other only option would be P and Q, because if we go down this way from source to K to N to P, all of a sudden now that will be enabling some water to get through. So in this case, P to Q will be the possible one that allows us to um, reverse, but we've got to be careful with this one. We're running from Q to P. Now P to Q is incorrect because P. You've got to make sure that you're aware of the order. Now this last question here talks about the capacity of the pipe being increased. Now, if we look at if we increase, let's look at a trial answer first. So if we try to increase O to R, right? O to R needs to be increased by at least 1 in order for any water to go through. Now, if it's increased by 1, it might be a possible option, but it's not the maximum. Okay, so if we go from O to R, we could increase it by 1. If we look at another pathway, I'm going to lead you towards this one where it says source to J to L to R. If we increase the flow from L to R, we just need to increase it by 3. Okay, and in fact, so if we've got O to R, we increase it by 1. So in other words, this answer immediately gets removed. But don't forget as well that there's another way to consider the flow from L to R being increased. This pathway here that you see from source to K to N to M to L, that's another way to increase that particular pathway. So how much water is going to L at the moment? Well, we've got 3 right there, but we've also got 5 here. So in other words, 3 plus 5 means that there's a possible 8 that's being choked at the moment if we have a size of 15. So we need to increase the pipe size by 8, and it runs from vertex L to R. And that was a 2% question.